Welcome to Hong Kong Brief. The content of the briefing includes: from national security to recycling in Hong Kong. Here's what to expect in 2024. From scared on pitch to future of Hong Kong football for Asian Cup pitc. Hong Kong sees 223,000 tourists on New Year's Eve, crowd stranded at train station. Hong Kong CEOs to focus on finances, sustainability in 2024 amid property stress. World rings in 2024 with New Year's fireworks and light shows. From national security to recycling in Hong Kong. Here's what to expect in 2024. South China Morning Post. Several key events are set to dominate the headlines in Hong Kong in 2024. Media mogul Jimmy Lai's trial is expected to last about 80 days, with 3 high court judges deciding whether his conduct constitutes sedition and collusion with foreign forces. A ruling is also expected in March for 16 opposition figures who pleaded not guilty of conspiring to subvert state power. Chief Executive John Lee Kok-yew has pledged to introduce local national security legislation required under Article 23 of the Basic Law. Waste charging will begin in April, with residents having to pay to use rubbish bags and oversized waste being levied using paid labels. Private motorists from Guangdong Province and Macau will have the opportunity to drive to Hong Kong under a quota scheme set to launch in 2024. The Kai Tak Sports Park is expected to be completed in phases by the end of 2024, 1 year ahead of the original target. The local airport will finally operate 3 runways once a rebuild of the middle section is completed in 2024. Hong Kong is also expecting another eye-watering deficit in the new year, with Financial Secretary Paul Chan Imopa predicting it may exceed 100 billion Hong Kong dollars. The government has brought in more than 81,000 people under various policies to encourage migration and overcome a flagging birth rate. From scared on pitch to future of Hong Kong football for Asian Cup pitc. South China Morning Post. Hong Kong midfielder Jesse Yu Joyin has said that he is ready to shine at this month's AFC Asian Cup finals, after overcoming his fear of playing freely. Yu has impressed for club Team Eastern and in Hong Kong's under-23s run to the Asian Games semi-finals. Yu has gone from being an outsider to a contender for the starting 11 in the final squad. Hong Kong sees 223,000 tourists on New Year's Eve, crowd stranded at train station. South China Morning Post. Hong Kong welcomed a record 223,000 tourists on New Year's Eve, but thousands were left stranded at a train station while trying to return to mainland China. The influx of visitors was attributed to the biggest ever New Year's Eve fireworks display, which drew 479,000 spectators. Despite train services running throughout the night, services to the border stations were not available overnight, resulting in crowds of people waiting at the train station until services resumed in the morning. Some travelers reported waiting for up to 5 hours at the border before they could go home. Hong Kong CEOs to focus on finances, sustainability in 2024 amid property stress. South China Morning Post. CEOs of major landlords and developers in Hong Kong have identified building on the normalization that began last year as a top priority for 2024. The industry aims to strengthen balance sheets, evolve tenant portfolios, and explore new business opportunities, with an emphasis on sustainability. High interest rates, a slowing economy, a lack of talent and Hong Kong's aging population are among key challenges as the industry seeks to overcome a slide in property prices. World rings in 2024 with New Year's fireworks and light shows. South China Morning Post. New Year celebrations took place around the world, although ongoing conflicts and security concerns subdued some festivities. In Australia, over 1 million people watched fireworks in Sydney, while in France, a light show was projected onto the Arc de Triomphe. In New York, officials said they were prepared to keep revelers safe despite near-daily protests sparked by the Israel-Gaza war. China, Greece, and the United Arab Emirates all had fireworks displays, while people gathered in Japan and Rome for traditional celebrations. In Russia, celebrations were overshadowed by the country's military actions in Ukraine. China, Russia test hack-proof link, Lee Sun-kyun's death, 5 weekend reads. South China Morning Post. The article provides a summary of various news stories from Asia, including China and Russia testing a hack-proof quantum communication link, China removing 9 PLA generals from the top legislature, Hong Kong's Cathay pledging to avoid repeat cancellations, the outrage sparked by the suicide of a South Korean actor over privacy invasion, and the last wish of Anita Mui. Hong Kong CEO's wealth management, ESG opportunities in Bay Area in 2024. South China Morning Post. Hong Kong's business community is set to capitalize on the city's initiatives to become one of the world's top wealth centers and talent hubs, according to senior executives surveyed by the South China Morning Post. Digital assets and environmental, social, and governance are also to be pursued in the coming year, as well as expansion into the Greater Bay Area and the wider mainland China market. Research and development is also expected to attract significant investment as businesses look to broaden revenue streams. The recruitment of talent and the benefits of artificial intelligence will remain important topics, the survey found. Hong Kong has been actively launching schemes and initiatives to enhance its attractiveness as a wealth center, and HSBC, Julius Baer, and Endowus have identified wealth management as key for 2024. Spectacular fireworks display in London takes UK into 2024. The Independent. London welcomed in 2024 with a spectacular New Year's Eve fireworks show. Tens of thousands of people gathered along the River Thames near the London Eye to watch the 12-minute display, which included 12,000 fireworks, a drone light show, and music. The display was themed around unity and included messages from various public figures. Events were also held in other cities across the UK, including Edinburgh, Blackpool, and Newcastle. However, some events had to be cancelled due to strong winds in coastal areas of southern England and Wales. The celebrations in London were followed by New York's famous annual event and other major city celebrations around the world. Sydney stole the show with a massive fireworks display that was watched by 1 billion people. Other countries that celebrated the new year included India, China, and France, where security was increased due to the very high terrorist threat. Pope Francis offered prayers for those affected by armed conflicts in Ukraine, Gaza, Sudan, and elsewhere. Asian American officials cite unfair scrutiny and lost jobs in China spy tensions. New York Times. Asian American government employees in the U.S. are being unfairly scrutinized and blocked from jobs due to concerns about Chinese espionage, according to interviews with more than 24 current and former officials and a review of Defense Department documents on security clearance cases. The paranoia is weakening the U.S. by preventing qualified individuals from serving in critical posts where their language skills and cultural background would be valuable. Thousands of diplomats have been affected by these restrictions over the years, with many Asian American diplomats facing similar bans. While the State Department has reversed some bans, hundreds remain in place, with counterintelligence officers able to recommend bans after investigating employees with job offers in countries deemed intelligence threats. The concerns have led to bipartisan legislation to try and address the problem, and the State Department has lifted 1,400 assignment restrictions during the Biden administration. Critics of the bans argue that an American with family members in China is no more likely to become a Chinese intelligence asset than anyone else, and that the U.S. government has failed to recognize the demographic shifts in the country. However, some officials argue that security clearance denials and job restrictions are justified due to the Chinese government's record of putting pressure on foreign citizens by detaining or harassing their family members in China. The concerns about Chinese espionage have led to the creation of the Justice Department's China Initiative, which saw many ethnic Chinese scientists investigated by the FBI. While some cases resulted in charges, many were dropped after damaging the scientists' reputations and careers, and the initiative was shut down in 2022. Facing a challenging 2024, Hong Kong can't afford more wasteful spending. SCMP opinion. The Hong Kong government must approach the challenges of 2024 with cautious optimism and a heavy dose of reality, according to Alice Wu, a political consultant. Wu notes that the government must prioritize spending and make tough choices in order to revive the economy and manage the city's finances carefully. This includes reprioritizing costly mega-projects and focusing on Hong Kong's role in Beijing's plans for the city to be an international center for innovation and technology. Wu also highlights the importance of playing to Hong Kong's strengths, such as its simple and competitive tax regime. Jiang Ping, Chinese legal scholar who challenged state's grip, dies at 92. Washington Post. Jiang Ping, the Chinese legal scholar who was forced to resign as university president after backing the pro-democracy protests in Tiananmen Square in 1989, has died aged 92. Jiang was an influential voice for the rights of citizens against the state and questioned authorities over dissent crackdowns and limits on free expression. He also helped draft China's first modern civil rights codes and worked on the laws covering property rights, contracts, and corporate rules. In his lifetime, Jiang decried censorship and warned that China's economic modernization should not come at the expense of human rights and judicial accountability, but believed that future generations would eventually push leaders to accept more democracy and strengthen the rule of law. Jiang was one of 10 university presidents who signed an open letter urging authorities to show restraint and enter dialogue with student protesters during the Tiananmen Square protests. After the protests, he was forced out as president of the China University of Political Science and Law, but allowed to remain as a law professor. Jiang's death was announced by the university on December 19. Silver linings even as challenges continue to persist in New Year. SCMP opinion. The year 2024 brings uncertainty for Hong Kong and the nation as a whole, with ongoing conflicts, political tensions, and economic challenges. The presidential elections in Taipei and the U.S. will have significant implications for China, including Hong Kong. The conflicts in Ukraine and Gaza will cast a shadow over the Paris Olympic Games in July. In Hong Kong, the focus is on economic recovery and improving livelihoods, but the city remains vulnerable to political and economic events both domestically and internationally. Efforts to ensure a more vibrant economy and consolidate its status as a finance hub will be a top priority for the government. Additionally, falling interest rates may bring some relief to borrowers. The article emphasizes the importance of perseverance and solidarity in the face of challenges and adversity. Waste does not take a break during holidays. SCMP opinion. Embarrassing incidents at recycling stations in Hong Kong over the holiday period have raised concerns about the city's preparedness for a waste charging scheme set to be introduced on April 1. Images posted on social media showed bags of waste piled up outside a recycling center in Hong Kong. The Environmental Protection Department said it would send a warning letter to the recycler, but Greenpeace said those who dumped the waste were to blame. The incidents have raised fears that some residents will try to use recycling centers to avoid paying waste charges. Chinese President Xi Jinping pledges reform in future-focused New Year's address. South China Morning Post. Chinese President Xi Jinping focused on growth and stability in his New Year's address to the country, pledging continued reform and opening up. He emphasized the importance of new industries being prepared before older ones were phased out, in order to consolidate the country's economic recovery and achieve long-term economic stability. She also spoke of the need for China to embrace its responsibility as a major country and work with the international community to promote peace and build a better world. He made only brief mention of Hong Kong and Macau and did not elaborate on Taiwan. Well, my dear viewers, it seems like Hong Kong has a lot going on in 2024. From national security trials to waste charging, and even the completion of the pitc sports park. It's going to be a busy year indeed. Let's start with the trials. Media mogul Jimmy Lai is facing a trial that could last up to 80 days. Can you imagine spending 80 days in court? I hope they have comfortable chairs. And let's not forget about the ruling expected in March for the 16 opposition figures who pleaded not guilty of conspiring against the state. It's like a real-life drama unfolding before our eyes. But it's not all doom and gloom. Hong Kong is also making strides in sustainability with waste charging set to begin in April. Residents will have to pay to use rubbish bags, and oversized waste will be levied using paid labels. I guess it's time to start thinking twice before throwing things away. It's all about reducing waste and saving the environment, folks. And for all you sports fans out there, the pitc Sports Park is set to be completed by the end of 2024. That's 1 year ahead of schedule. Maybe we'll see some world-class athletes coming out of Hong Kong soon. And let's not forget about the local airport, which will finally operate 3 runways once the middle section is rebuilt. That means more flights, more destinations, and more opportunities for travel. Bon voyage! Now, let's talk about the economy. Financial Secretary Paul Chan Imopa is predicting another eye-watering deficit in the new year, possibly exceeding 100 billion Hong Kong dollars. That's a lot of zeros. But fear not, my friends, the government has brought in more than 81,000 people to encourage migration and overcome a flagging birth rate. I guess they're trying to boost the population and the economy at the same time. It's all about multitasking these days. Now, my dear viewers, it's time for some analysis. It's clear that Hong Kong is facing some challenges in 2024, both politically and economically. But it's also a year of opportunities. The city is pushing forward with national security trials, waste charging, and infrastructure development. And let's not forget about the focus on sustainability and the efforts to attract talent and investment. But what do you think, my dear viewers? Are you excited about the developments in Hong Kong? Do you think waste charging will be effective? And what about the deficit? Do you have any ideas on how the government can tackle it? Share your thoughts, and let's have a lively discussion. And that's a wrap for today, my dear viewers. Thank you for joining me on this journey through the latest news in Hong Kong. Stay tuned for more updates from the 6 Degrees world. Until next time, stay curious and keep exploring. Thank you for tuning in. The content above showcases the latest briefing reports and analytical synopses, thoughtfully curated by the 6Do team. These insights stem from a wide array of reputable media outlets, think tanks, government sources, and specialized experts worldwide. We encourage you to explore these sources for a comprehensive perspective. Keep in mind that while the content may not always align with the official standpoint of 6Do Brief, it's not meant to be taken as absolute directives for decision-making. Comprising seasoned media professionals, learned scholars, and accomplished scientists, the 6Do team embodies a trailblazing, fully independent media entity. To customize 6Do Brief to meet your professional needs, you have the option to subscribe to a diverse array of briefings on our website, 6dobrief.com. Regardless of your location, you can conveniently receive 6Do Brief via email.